which brings up another point here, and that's Jalen Ramsay, who, look it, I'm going to talk about this, but this is just like us talking about George Pickens. They should listen, but they're not going to, and I think we're going to fall into the same category on the other side as I talk about this one. Miami Dolphins beat writer, I'm losing a name here, for the Miami Sun Centennial, Dave Hyde, said this on why the Dolphins traded Ramsay and why the Pittsburgh Steelers should be super concerned about the trade that they got, the acquisition that they got. Quote, let's start here. The Miami Dolphins won't miss cornerback Jalen Ramsay. They won't miss him regularly showing up for practices as the rest of the team was in the middle of stretching. They won't miss how he constantly undermined defensive coordinator Vic Fangio 2 years ago and coach Mike McDaniel last season in a manner that spread like a bad odor through the larger team. I mean, the Steelers have gotten rid of bad guy after bad guy after bad guy. You do have to make one part of this very clear, that if he is a guy that's showing up late to practice after they just got rid of the guy that was showing up late to practice, Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan need to figure their stuff out, because this is not okay. Are you concerned? Are you concerned that the Miami Dolphins and the Tyreek Hill and the Tua and the Raheem Mostert and the Terrion Armstead and the Jonnu Smith and the everybody else who's talked smack on the Miami Dolphins since playing for the Miami Dolphins is an interest of concern as he comes to Pittsburgh?
Not right now. I feel like I would be doing a disservice to him to immediately assume that he's going to come in and cause problems. I can't speak to, what was going on down on the beat, in Miami the last couple of years. I think it's very well established that Jalen Ramsay is a very intense player, a very fiery player, a very vocal player. I don't think any of that was especially different or, outside of the norm for him with the Dolphins. And I don't expect that to be any different now that he's here in Pittsburgh. That being said, I think it would be crazy to immediately assume that he is going to come in here, stir the pot, cause problems, be a disruption. The Steelers are a very regimented team. Like, again, you just pointed out that the Steelers, were very quick to get rid of someone who was not able to fall in line with what the rest of the team was trying to do in terms of like being regimented and scheduled and on a practice routine and things like that. So I don't think Jalen Ramsay, especially as, one of the elder statesmen, let's call him, of the defense this year, and one of the more accomplished players, is going to come in and set such a bad sort of example and make such a poor first impression that before he even plays a game, we're already talking about him being a distraction. Could that happen? Sure, I guess, but I'm not concerned about it right now, and I would not really anticipate myself growing more concerned about this until I hear about it firsthand, or if I see it kind of affecting the play once the season begins. But for right now, no, I'm just excited to see him get in the mix with the rest of the defense and see what they cook up.
Yeah, right. Like, again, let me rattle off the names here of guys who've talked smack on the Miami Dolphins over the last couple of years. Raheem Mostert, Terrion Armstead, Tyreek Hill, who's still here, who said he's leaving like 4 times. Jalen Ramsay, Jonnu Smith, the list just goes on and on. It just, they have a long history since Mike McDaniel has arrived of guys really not appreciating the Miami Dolphins. And maybe that's just the thing. Now, in Pittsburgh, you can't overlook this because they've had a history of guys being jerks, not being team players. But I think that 31 years old, if Mike Tomlin tells you show up for practice when TJ Watt shows up for practice and Cam Hayward shows up for practice, Jalen's going to show up for practice. I have a feeling that Mike Tomlin's not going to get undermined the way that I couldn't even imagine what a conversation between Jalen Ramsay and Mike McDaniels is, but I could promise you it's not the same as Jalen Ramsay and Mike Tomlin. I could promise you that. And I just think that works in the Steelers' favor. Again, if it isn't, massive mistake by the Steelers. You just got rid of all the nonsense to bring in more nonsense. That doesn't make any sense to me. But they have had they have had a history of being able to control these guys a little bit more than outside of George Pickens, let's be totally honest, and be able to calm the airways before mass chaos exploded within the fan base and the news. I have a feeling they'll be able to do the same with Jalen. Good.
Yeah, I just think that one other point that seems very pertinent to this is that Jalen Ramsay, much like Aaron Rodgers coming to the Steelers, it seems very focused on how good of a relationship they have with Mike Tomlin. So again, don't know what went on behind closed doors in Miami. Don't really know what the dynamics were like for the locker room and stuff like that. But it has been very, very publicly stated that Jalen Ramsay wanted to come here because of Mike Tomlin's influence, because of his coaching stature. So if that is the case, if they have a good relationship and if it continues to build positively, why would he want to, again, kind of shit on it by just not showing up to practice? Or, I came here because I want to win a Super Bowl, didn't think I could do it in Miami, love this head coach, and then I'm just going to do whatever I want. Maybe he will, but I don't think, one, we'd hear about it until way too late, and two, if they're winning games, it won't matter. And three, I don't think it's going to happen. But
I agree. I think a veteran who understands the NFL, who's done this before, who didn't have, he had issues in Jacksonville, but again, in LA, you're winning and things are going pretty smooth. I think that's the example that I'm looking at when it comes to Jalen Ramsay and where things go.